NCDC and stakeholders find short-term solution to house NCD street kids during the Pacific Games. Betel nut vendors outside city limits claim they were attacked by police. And the Cancer Foundation of PNG hosts its biggest fundraising event.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Thursday's news. It's good to have your company again. There will be no children living on the streets of Port Moresby during the Pacific Games. That's the short-term solution undertaken by an authority from the National Capital District in conjunction with stakeholders. They have developed a project called NCD Urban Children's Empowerment Program, and it's to address the problem. MTV's Vasinatiyama has more.
Street kids or children under the age of 18 who live on the streets is a common problem in big cities and towns of PNG. Efforts have been made to address the issue, but progress has been slow. NCD Urban Children's Empowerment Project is a project initiated by NCD Authority, World Vision and the Pacific Games Committee to address a short-term plan to keep the children off the streets during the Pacific Games. But in the long term, they have taken a permanent approach to find the root cause of the issue and process the kids and send them back to their families and relatives.
Now let me admit the fact that we failed to capture this very significant group of people, or so to speak, the future generation. And I'd like to first of all thank all the key partners that are involved in addressing this issue for a start.
A group of trained personnel will go out to 6 areas of the city, which are the domestic and international airports, Vision City area, Waigani traffic lights to 4 Mile, Tabari Place and downtown to gather the children. They will then interview them, get the background information and find out why they are on the streets. Those who have parents still alive will be sent back to their home or provinces. Those who don't have a family or relative will be processed to a safer place or referred to World Vision and other NGOs to house them for a short time. Currently, there is no legal framework to sustain orphanages in PNG, but Community Development Department will be tabling the Lukautin Pikinini Act in the next Parliament sitting in May to address it. Once the Lukautin Pikinini Act is tabled, the state will be responsible for the street kids, fourth under the direction and care of the Lukautin Pikinini Act Director.
We at the Lukautin Pikinini office is the third father of all children. All children who are neglected are our responsibility, and we do try our best. But because of the changes, the socio-economic changes that forced fathers and mothers to come to the city has given the last effect of the children to be thrown into the city. And that could be one reason, but there are many other reasons.
The project is aimed at reducing the number of street kids, help them to identify their parents, families and relatives, conduct wide-scale awareness on children's rights, and continue to grow a sustainable population by alleviating street kids and poverty.
I think the focus of this is to remind and to bring about the essence that children are the core responsibility of parents. And it is important that children are kept in their homes and loved and cared for by their primary caregivers, which is their father and mother.
Once the Lukautin Pikinini Act is passed, those parents and families who neglect their children or force them to make an income from the street will be imprisoned for 6 months or bail of 500 kina. Vasinatayama, National EMTV News.
The National Capital District will provide additional buses to accommodate the influx of supporters for the Pacific Games come July. This was announced by City Manager Leslie Alu in Port Moresby yesterday.
As the nation's capital gears up to host the 2015 Pacific Games, officers from NCDC are working around the clock to prepare transportation for supporters for the Games. NCDC City Manager Leslie Alu said a number of 40-seater buses will be used to transport people to and from the Games venue, and police officers will also assist to divert traffic flow.
What are big buses? 45-seater buses. So those buses will be taking city residents that are parked at our parking venues, and then they'll be transported to those games areas.
The July Games is expected to bring in thousands of people from all over the Pacific. The influx of people means additional PNV buses will be required. Though the Games will be priority, Mr. Alu maintains that the normal routes for PNV buses for Port Moresby residents will not be affected.
So we've got a list of all the games that will be played at the venues, at what time, so we can allocate our buses to transport the people to those games.
Takla Gunga, National MTV News.
A construction worker from a major building firm engaged to oversee the refurbishment of the Maria House along the Waigani Independence Drive met an unfortunate fate when he allegedly jumped to his death from the building. The incident occurred on Tuesday morning. However, sources say although the deceased was attached to another construction site, both sites are managed by the same company. Unconfirmed reports say the deceased, who is from Arama in the Central Province, reportedly leaped off the 10th floor of the building, popularly known to the locals as the Pineapple Building. Eyewitnesses say the construction site was thrown into a state of confusion and work was put on hold as the deceased was rushed to a hospital, but unfortunately was pronounced dead on arrival. Reasons for this alleged suicide have not yet been established, and attempts to get comments from the construction company were unsuccessful. Vendors at the Ruburoga market outside the nation's capital are claiming that they are the victims of a recent police brutality incident. Ruburoga Market, located in the Central Province, is one of the markets set up to cater for betel nut trading when the buai ban came into effect in the National Capital District. Vendors claim items and cash valued over 100,000 kina were either destroyed or taken by men who they claim are part of the police force.
Vendors claim the incident occurred around 5 p.m. on Tuesday. They say more than 10 vehicles without number plates stopped at the market and men with guns poured out of the vehicles.
All come na shooting gun now and me black kirap no good now. Me black kirap no good now and marlo by me black simo something blow me black. Me black sit down to solista all come yet or running me black
come shoot ka so me black run nothing ogra something buai daga one bilum ogra something sta me black run em all come to so sim puti go inside the car go.
The women say there was no time to take anything as they fled fearing for their lives. They say the men who attacked them did not say why they were attacking and say this is not the first time this has occurred.
Make yourself striking masses from your canvas or tent do me black number to long time go to cook bend down. Then this time me black run away ya. No around the good at tintino kisim or something no hard.
They have bullet casings that were left behind once the carloads of men left. Eyewitnesses say this all happened in less than 15 minutes. Less than a minute's drive away, vendors at another busy spot called Dacia Market claim they suffered the same fate, allegedly by the same group of men. Christopher was manning a beer outlet when a car full of men pulled up in front of the stalls.
Market santi olman like sim market santi ne ano oksimol diwaya paiting olman natin olman temiluki amitini sto na miron na mi gorau ne mi like passing biklau doya no ga tu play mo kisi gan ka mo pointi me no can passing mane do na ron.
Christopher says the beers that were stolen were bought with money that the owner just borrowed from the National Development Bank. Community leaders from both the Ruburogo and Dacia markets want authorities, especially the police hierarchy in both NCD and the Central Province, to investigate.
And they assaulted and insulted women. They use very heavy language where we cannot speak on media about, you know.
Sarah Aupong, National MTV News.
The disbanding of the National Capital District Commission Reservist Unit has had multiple effects on the imposed betel nut ban in Port Moresby. NCDC officers say Port Moresby residents have started selling betel nuts in residential areas with the assumption that the ban was lifted. But NCDC City Manager Leslie Alu maintains that the ban is still active.
The boy ban is still in place.
Since the disbanding notice from the police hierarchy to dissolve the NCDC reservist unit, the Commission has resorted to using city rangers to enforce the betel nut ban. Mr. Alu said specific instructions were given to these city rangers on how to combat the ban in appropriate areas and manners. But Alu said the announcement made by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill in February to open a betel nut market in Mosby South electorate was misunderstood by NCD residents, and many think the ban was uplifted.
And the disbanding of the police, NCD Reserve Police, it's caused a lot of inconvenience for us because people are thinking that by those statements made, they are afraid to sell betel nut in our markets.
The betel nut ban was imposed in 2013 by NCD Governor Paul West-Parkop as a beautification measure to help clean up Port Moresby. A team of reservist unit was then set up to police the betel nut ban. However, in the process of implementing the ban, a number of police assaults and deaths occurred, forcing the police hierarchy to disband the reservist unit.
Maybe we didn't have the mechanisms at that time to make it work, but we've learned from the lessons and we want to improve on that.
The city manager stressed that despite the decommissioning of the reservist unit, the Commission wants the ban to continue because it has helped clean the city. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
And in more news to come, 13 people killed following a road accident, and the Cancer Foundation of PNG launches its awareness campaign. Stay with us for all the details of that and more. Welcome back to National EMTV News. 13 people, including an infant, were killed in a tragic car accident this morning. A PNV travelling from Nondokul to Barnes in North Wagi, Jiwaka Province, ran off the road at Kapalku and crashed into Warrabun. The accident occurred between 7 and 8 a.m. this morning, killing 13 and leaving 2 others in critical condition. These pictures, sourced from social media, show dead bodies lying on stones and in the river as people gather at the scene after the accident. Police are yet to confirm this. However, Jiwaka Provincial Police Commander Joseph Tondop said bodies are now at the Kujip Nazarene Hospital morgue. The cause of the accident is yet to be established. On a brighter note, the Papua New Guinea Cancer Foundation has launched its cancer campaign today called the Biggest Morning Tea. The Biggest Morning Tea runs throughout the month of May, and it encourages the discussion on cancer, creating awareness and hopefully preventing the killer disease. Deputy Chairlady Dr. Linda Sirigoy said the campaign is one of the most significant fundraising events in the Cancer Foundation's calendar.
Research suggests that 1 in 10 deaths in PNG is caused by cancer. Prevention and awareness are the key messages in the Biggest Morning Tea campaign.
Because cancer often doesn't have a very good prognosis, people are reluctant to talk about cancer. It's a dreadful disease to have. It causes a lot of burden on families, on societies, on the nation at large. But what the Biggest Morning Tea is all about is about talking about cancer. We want to be talking about cancer.
The Biggest Morning Tea campaign was launched today in Port Moresby that basically kicks off a series of campaign events focused on cancer awareness. The campaign invites community groups, schools and businesses to host morning tea events to raise funds for awareness. The campaign's first event will be hosted by Cancer Foundation Ambassador and wife of the Prime Minister, Linda Babao O'Neill. While it's been scientifically proven that smoking, chewing betel nut and alcohol consumption increases the chances of getting many types of cancer, there is still no reliable statistics available in PNG.
One of the biggest challenges we have with cancer is a data registry or cancer registry, and that's still something that's been worked on.
All the programs that we conduct, we do baseline survey, and then we actually collect the data from the actual participants themselves.
Just this week, Dr. Arnold Weiner from the University of Papua New Guinea Medical School said breast cancer is most common in professional working women.
One of the top 5 is cancer of the breast or breast cancers. And unfortunately, it affects especially the young population, the young generation. And it's frightening because amongst these people, you have those ones that have professional ladies where they work at offices, eye offices.
Last year, over 90,000 kina was raised, over 3,000 participants were involved, and over 7,000 cancer awareness materials were distributed. This year, EMTV was first to register to participate in this year's biggest morning tea campaign. Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
The prime suspect in the shooting of Moana Pisimi in Lae on New Year's Day has been committed to stand trial in the National Court. Presiding Magistrate Jeremiah Singamat made the ruling yesterday at the Lae District Court and says there is substantial evidence for the District Court to commit the defendant to the National Court. Magistrate Singamat also gave orders for the bail to be extended.
In the last 3 months, the shooting of young mother Moana Pisimi has attracted widespread calls for justice to be served on the person who pulled the trigger. The police commissioner responded by sending in an investigations team from Port Moresby to investigate the shooting. The investigations revealed that the shot was fired by a police officer. Yesterday, the court findings revealed there was a car chase of a white Toyota Land Cruiser on the road towards Malahang, leading to the scene where the shooting took place. There were evidences of shots being fired from an high-powered rifle from about 50 meters away. The court also found out that only the defendant was in possession of a firearm, and the description best matched the high-powered rifle. Medical evidences also showed that a bullet entered the back of the deceased head and exited at the right side of the head. Brain damage also caused damage to other internal organs, resulting in a death. The defendant has been committed to stand trial at the National Court. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News, Lae.
A 580-kilometre road linking 2 local level governments in the Kabum and tewai-siassi districts in Morobe may not sound like much, but this road will save hundreds of lives and increase the amount of personal incomes for the people in that area. The road will start from Bits in tewai-siassi and will travel into the mountains to Yalumet in Kabum, which is now accessible by air and a day's walk. This is one of several road projects in rural Morobe that is expected to transform lives.
Yalumet is a place reachable from Lae only by air. It is located in the landlocked coffee-producing district of Kabum. Now the increased funding to local level governments have opened up new opportunities for the local level government area. This week, the Deamos local level government in Kabum district brought a new set of heavy machinery to Bit in the neighboring tewai-siassi district and announced the start of construction on a new 580-kilometer road from the coast into Kabum.
It's about 92% of population, they are not access to road. Narabla emlong main case crop lo mibla long only en source of income lo yumi through long coffee. Coffee you mean on ablong freight in States freight is really high and balus cost long in very high.
In comparison to other road projects in Morobe, this is quite small in both cost and size, but the impact this single stretch will have on the lives of people is quite significant.
Coffee transport system e one plan airstrip sol. Time all line lo habo so koli mi place donkey or line blong wokabolo night now so koli mi plan kind all tuk na mi place wadi turu.
The whole purpose of the road, as I said, blong there were in health and education.
For people here, the road means lives will be saved. Children can be better educated and coffee can be transported by trucks to the coast instead of planes.
Prices long or kai or something and me go on tough. Na mi pla at man meri pla flesh mi pla try mat through na mi pla walk lokisim boat na road go side pla meding.
Roads remain very important in this part of rural Morobe. The demise of the Lutheran Shipping Company has forced the local level governments to take ownership of their people's transportation needs and to provide enabling environments for their local economies. Freight costs to Lae, even by speedboat, remain one of their biggest expenses. But the 5 districts involved in the establishment of the Morobe Coastal Shipping Services hope to reduce that cost by a third when the company comes into full operation later this year. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Lae.
Morobe Governor Kelly Naru has weighed in on the discussion of a provincial autonomy, saying Morobe does not seek to become financially or politically autonomous, but wants more dialogue for the equitable distribution of funds. Naru said Morobe is an important province in terms of national revenue, and the national government needs to take that into serious consideration. On Tuesday, the Madang governor called for financial autonomy, saying the current arrangement was restrictive for provinces.
Morobe would be the last province to ask for financial autonomy. And I believe financial autonomy is not the way to go. Because, why mitokosam? Suppose you start lo totok lo financial autonomy, na you brukim kakai lo disla big plak garden is alo waigani where now you mi olga wok lo kakai longem. Then we might as well not only claim financial autonomy, but we might as well claim political autonomy as well. Because you think him, Papua New Guinea depend on basketball Morobe province, yeah?
Additionally, the Morobe Governor Kelly Naru today appealed to his Provincial Education Board not to close schools if TFF funds for Morobe are delayed. Governor Naru had joined his PEB members and called on the National Education Department to give Morobe's funds on time. His appeal comes after the Provincial Education Board warned of indefinite school closure.
The Morobe governor today brushed aside the warning issued by the Provincial Education Board to close schools in Morobe, but he didn't hesitate to support the call made by the Morobe Education Board, who called for the release of the TFF funds.
At the moment, I don't think the province is in a crisis state yet. So what we've got to do is education authorities, rather than sounding the alarm bell and pressing the panic button all over the place, what we should do is we should be patient and we should refrain from making statements and commenting in a situation that will be detrimental to the good administration of the education sector in our province.
In 2012, the O'Neill-led government implemented the free education policy to allow every child to go to school. The tuition fee-free funding was introduced to complement the policy.
My call now is that the ball is in your court. You can't let us down. If money is due to our schools and the operation and management of our schools is hanging on the balance of this money coming in, please make sure all that is within your power to get the money into the province so that our schools can run. Salansimi gim golong education minister na long government long wagani.
Morobe is a big province. It has over 800 schools. The operation of these institutions depend largely on the TFF funds that come from the government. Now, while this may not seem like a big problem for schools in Port Moresby, for other provinces, it is an issue for schools that depend largely on that money.
In this interview last week, the Provincial Education Advisor expressed concerns over the effects of the education policy that is eventually being felt by Morobe schools.
One of the problems you see here is, in graph, you put it in graph, that number of students rise and the allocation falls.
Morobe province is one of the many provinces in the country that have raised the issue. There are many other provinces with similar situation that haven't spoken out yet. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Lae.
And now we check out the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3725 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, our kina was fetching $0.365, $0.4719 Australian dollars, €0.3376 euro, and 43.05 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, and copper all closed the day higher, while palm oil, crude oil, and copper, including all closed the day higher as well. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 76 points higher, the ASX closed at 22 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 39 points lower. And National MTV News continues after the break with more local updates and international headlines. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National MTV News. Water consumers in Lae City will experience water outage problems for the next 2 days. Senior Manager of Water PNG in Lae, Vincent Raka, says some of their plant facilities will undergo maintenance work. It comes following an increase in demand for Lae's water consumption.
More than 9 residential areas and various stakeholders and business houses within Lae City will be affected by water outages for the next 2 days. Water PNG will be fixing one of its main water valves.
We are carrying the major repair on this valve because it's at the moment we're losing a lot of water. That valve over time has given way, so we are losing a lot of water through that valve, and it's affecting pressure in some areas of the town.
The maintenance work on this main valve is aimed at meeting the growing demands of connected water users within the city. As the time nears before the valve will be switched off, consumers are already becoming concerned on how much water they will be consuming after tomorrow.
Toilet, na sawa, na kitchen, something water supply.
While that causes inconvenience for many water consumers in Lae, Water PNG advises its customers to store water for the next 2 days. The main water valve that will undergo maintenance will be shutting off tomorrow at 6 p.m. and will resume operation after 48 hours. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Lae.
A lawyer representing death row inmates Andrew Chan and Miran Sukumaran has called on the Indonesian Attorney General to respect legal processes. This follows reports that all appeals have been exhausted. The 2 Australians are facing death by firing squad for their part in smuggling drugs in 2006. MTV's Alana Lay has more on this report.
Indonesia Attorney General Muhammad Prasetyo declared earlier this month that the judicial reviews filed by Chan and Sukumaran's legal team are ineffective. The administrative court has already rejected the claim. We all know that clemency is not an object to argue in the administrative court, so it is finished now. We also heard that they will file a judicial review to the Constitutional Court. That's their business. We are not affected at all. And if they file it, it won't change the decision that has already been made. The remarks prompted Todung Mulya Lubis, lawyer of Chan and Sukumaran, yesterday to call on the Attorney General to respect the legal process, particularly a pending response from the Constitutional Court on their appeal request.
We are talking here about the life of people. Yeah, we are talking about fundamental human rights of the people, the right to life. So if they ignore that, I think they would betray the spirit of human rights itself.
The legal team is challenging the clemency law and the law saying foreigners are unable to file a judicial review. Alana Lay, MTV World News.
National MTV News continues with Trukai Sports, which is coming up next, and I'll be back after these short messages with all your sporting action. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. After the handover of venues from the contractors, proper testings and trials will be conducted on most of the major games venues to ensure that they are in usable conditions. During the time frame in which the tests of the games will be held, all the contractors will remain attached to the venues.
The testing of all games venues is an important element of preparation for the 2015 Pacific Games. Minister for Sports and 2015 Pacific Games Justin Chichenko has said the majority of the major games venues will be tested 1 month prior to the games.
All the facilities will be tested at the end of June once they've all got the appropriate setups by the Pacific Games organising committee. They'll set up everything and have everything ready to go, and working with the contractors at the same time.
On the 6th of June, the SB PNG Hunters will host their first home game in Port Moresby at the Sir John Guy's Outdoor Stadium, and this will prove this stadium's capacity for July.
Trial to make sure the toilets are flushing, the lights are working, the flow of people are moving right and all the rest. So in June we'll have the big test of the outdoor stadium with the first ever Hunters match against Ipswich.
The Sir Hubert Murray Stadium may be the only major venue that will not have a trial run due to its completion date. However, the organisers will be moving in on the 13th of June to commence operations.
13th of June, and we will coordinate with them.
Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Over to boxing, and the national boxing team has left today for another training camp in Tabubil, Western Province today. The team will be going through the high-altitude training session, working mostly on fitness and stamina. MTV's Elijah Levet has this report.
When speaking with the boxers, most of them said this training session will be the hardest to date, as this will be the high-altitude training camp, which will mostly be focused on fitness. Expert coach Alan Nicholson, who recently joined the team, said the boxers have progressed and preparations for the team are on par.
So far it's been very good. The boys came to the Gold Coast and did a 5-week camp on the Gold Coast with myself and Coach Joe. I see the team has progressed quite a long way in such a short time, so with the continuation of the program I see them going very, very well at the SP Games.
National coach Joe Aufa explained that the facilities in Tabubil are up to standard and will cater for the boxers.
Tabubil have all the training facilities there, which is a very good climate, just like a high altitude training. It will work it out very tough training down there.
Joe Aufa also commended Alan Nicholson on his work and how he has become a mentor to the boxers.
Expert is also a mentor, you know, when he bring up the mentoring the boxers is one of the very hard. But then the expert come in and mentoring the boys to make them more strength, to look forward and focus on our will, the heart. Especially you compete in 3 minutes each round by 4, you must have a will to fight. That's how the expert, our coach coming in to mentor them to get more fit, to participate in the Pacific Games.
The first group of boxers left today with expert coach and mentor Alan Nicholson and national coach Joe Aufa. They will be joined tomorrow by the second group of boxers. The high-altitude training is set to run for 10 days. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Stay tuned. Trukai Sports continues after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. In NSL, with an outstanding performance by the Lake City Dwellers, Madang FC and Admiralty also came up with comfortable wins in round 11. This weekend we'll see round 12 of the NSL, a crucial round for most of the teams in the competition. Besta will take on hot favourites Lake City Dwellers in Ley. MTV's Shane Saroya has more on the match fixtures.
In round 11 of the NSL, Lake City Dwellers trashed Oro FC 6 points to 0 in what Oro's coach described as obstacle for his side, but claimed the team will bounce back this weekend despite the loss. In round 10, Besta FC took on Hikari United and shocked the champions 2 goals to 0. But in the previous round 11, Madang stopped Besta short and finished by 3 goals to 2 in a close encounter. They have renewed optimism going up against Lake City Dwellers, who are on top of their game at the moment. Madang FC will be out there to stamp their mark and maintain their winning streak in this weekend's round 12. Pom FC, on the other hand, has nothing to lose despite a loss to Admiralty FC. They are looking to impress this time around. Round 12 will be a crucial round for all teams in the NSL, as the semi-finals are just around the corner. In this weekend's round 12, Port Moresby FC will take on Hikari United at CIS Bomana, here in the nation's capital. Over in Ley, the City Boys will go up against Besta United at the St. Ignatius Kilage Stadium. And over in Madang, Madang FC will be at home against Oro FC. Admiralty will be on a well-deserved bye after a commanding 3-0 win over Pom FC. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
And that's how we wrap up our Trukai Sports segment tonight. The weather details coming up after these short messages.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, Port Moresby and Karama to expect brief evening showers plus thunderstorms expected in Alatau and Daru, with Poponeta to anticipate showers plus rain. In Momase, showers and rain as well for Lae City, evening showers in Madang, early morning drizzle in Vanimore, plus brief evening showers in Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands, cloudy at times for Lorengau and Kavieng, few showers expected in Buka, with Kokopo and Kimbe to look forward to showers plus thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, Goroka and Kundiawa, brief evening showers, then morning fog, showers plus thunderstorms, then morning fog expected in Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small ships, there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of the southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru to Kiwai Island, through to Karama, Yule Island to Hood Point. Looking at waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, Karama through to Yule Island, Hood Point to Samarai Island, seas of 2 meters to 3 meters, waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, Samarai Island through to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 0.5 meters to 1.5 meters, and waters of Finschhafen including Vitia Strait, Siassi Islands, Long Island through to west of Long Island to Madang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape to Vanimore, and the northern PNG Indonesian border through to Manus and its western group of islands, New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 meters to 1.3 meters. And ocean forecast for PNG areas, Coral Sea sees rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots, Solomon Sea sees slight to moderate with southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots, Bismarck Sea sees slight with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots, and lastly Pacific Ocean sees slight to moderate with southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. An update of the oil search baton relay. It continues its journey across the 22 provinces in the country. This week, the baton moved from Goroka to Simbu province, passing through Daulo Pass. Here are the highlights.
The oil search baton relay team left Goroka by road through Daulo Pass to travel into the Simbu province. They were met at the border of the two provinces by police and the provincial coordinator. The baton's first runner was Nere Luana, a former Kumul player who ran the baton into the Chuave district for a quick stop at BSP for a photo opportunity. A huge crowd welcomed the baton in the centre of Kundiawa town. Provincial government representatives and traditional dancers then led the baton holder to the ceremony area. Flags flew, plenty of handshakes and children lined the path that the dignitaries took. School children and the UNICEF team were next to greet the baton. As the governor and dignitaries took their seats, Tura made an appearance, much to the joy of the children. Tura then assisted UNICEF by giving out the colouring books to kids from the various schools. The relay team was then led by the governor. The oil search baton relay continues.
Well, that's a take on our news segment, but before we go, a quick recap of our main stories. NCDC and stakeholders find short-term solution to house NCD street kids during the Pacific Games. Also, betel nut vendors outside city limits claim that they were attacked by police, and the Cancer Foundation of Papua New Guinea launches its biggest fundraising event. Well, that's been the bulletin this Thursday. On behalf of the entire news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi. As always, it was great having your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.